Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 2 of Winning Season Sports. I am your host, Justin Gadison, and I just want to start off this episode apologizing for the delay between some personal issues with work and the freeze here in Texas, and also just trying to figure out how I want this show to go and what I want it to really be, and also just coming up with some ideas for some merch, giveaways, so whatever have you. Just needed to take that time to figure out and process how I want this to be so that I can provide the best show for you guys. And also just get some of these sports thoughts that I have in my head out. I mean, there's a ton of people giving their opinions. Why would I not want to be one of those to do it as well? So, without further ado, I'm back. And let's get right into it with the quick recap of the biggest sporting event that's happened so far, which is the Super Bowl. It happened last month. It was between Kansas City and the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Tampa Bay Bucks defense handed Tom Brady ring number 7, further cementing himself as the GOAT of the NFL. I mean, agree or disagree, you can't deny the wins. But that team was set up perfect. I'm not saying they would have made it without Tom Brady, but I'm saying there's a good chance that they could have. Tom Brady just definitely put them over. He came in, he helped provide a different mindset to these guys, to the team, and definitely helped put them over. Bruce Arians bringing in an amazing staff. Todd Bowles running that defense with competent players. Todd Bowles has always been a great defensive coordinator with the Jets as a head coach. He faltered, but that was just a combination of it being his first job and also management. But what Todd Bowles can definitely do is call a defense, and you give him the players that they had, he's going to make it happen. Also, Byron Leftwich, I apologize, offensive coordinator. That there was nothing ever wrong with their offense. The problem with their offense was always Jameis. He'll either throw you into a game or he'll throw you out of a game. Competent quarterbacking made that team what it was. But again, I can't deny Tom Brady's contribution to that team because it's not just a competent quarterback. It was a better mindset. It was a championship mindset that he helped put in on this offense. And he just picked literally the best situation to walk into. Like the offensive line, more than competent. Wide receiving core, really underrated and really great. It just doesn't get any better than that. Tom Brady didn't have to do too much. He could hand the ball off, and Fournette and Ronald Jones could run it anytime that they needed to. It's just, you can't really deny it. But definitely, congratulations to Tampa Bay and all their fans. And it looks like with the moves that they've been making, they're about to run it right on back. And so Kansas City definitely fought. Definitely didn't win down swinging. Patrick Mahomes got a lot of really difficult throws off, and a lot of times it just hit him in the hands, hit him in the face mask. Like they weren't expecting the ball to come to him. But it wasn't like they went down for lack of trying. Just you got your entire offensive line is done. One of your offensive players opts out to go help with the COVID situation. Both your starting tackles are out. You got one guy you picked up in the offseason at your starting center who's trash. You got a couple late round picks playing guard. You got Mike Remmers at left tackle. Mike Remmers, if you don't know, was the offensive tackle for the Carolina Panthers last time they made the Super Bowl. And you know what happened that one? Von Miller was MVP of the game. gave up several sacks to Von Miller. If he gave up sacks to Von Miller, what do you think he was going to do against Shaq Barrett, sorry. I'm just saying. And despite all that, somehow Pat, running for his life, managed to get the ball off the only way he knows how to. But they made some pretty, I won't say solid moves. They made some really questionable moves so far this offseason. Both left tackles they just let go. Everybody's clearing cap space. And Pat just renegotiated some of his signing deals to give them back some money. So we just got to see what they do as far as rebuilding that offensive line. They get that line straight, they'll get everything else in line. But that also leads into some of the bigger topics for the offseason this year with the NFL. My favorite time of the year. The NFL just announced that the salary cap is coming in lower than expected, which has led to a ton of players being cut just for that simple reasons. It's ton of players, ton of teams cutting caps. I think the Saints have cut several players, a ton of players, because they were like, I want to say negative $50 million underneath the salary cap, or over the salary cap. So they've been releasing players left and right, trying to get underneath there or get to where it's more manageable. And a lot of players that typically would be re-signed by teams like any other year, Juju Smith-Schuster would have already signed in his extension. But there's a chance he might not even come back to Pittsburgh. It's a ton of guys that are going to be looking for new homes. Kenny Golladay didn't get tagged at all by Detroit, so they don't have a receiver, but somebody's going to pick him up. I want to say Alshon Jeffries, free agent. He's not going back to Chicago. He's going to be somewhere next year. It's a lot of guys that are going to be looking for new homes. A lot of guys aren't getting franchise tags unless your team absolutely needs you. And that's just pretty wild. A couple signings we've had here in the last few weeks. Dak Prescott. That boy got paid. He got the 4-year deal that he wanted. I think it was $160 million overall. 77 million guaranteed, or 70. Yeah, I think 77 million in guaranteed. At least 66 million on the first year. Can you imagine having to explain to your bank how you got a $66 million deposit? Like, that's problems I wish I had. But a lot of people are coming down on the Cowboys talking about now you can't sign any better players for your defense. You can't bring anybody else in. Listen, they'll draft just fine. This draft is full of stud defensive players. They'll be fine. They'll figure it out. New defensive coordinator. They'll work it out. That deal is actually really team friendly because it's a lot of money up front, not as much on the back end. They'll work it out. They'll figure it out. That's what GMs and front office personnel are made to do. If they need to make cuts, they'll make cuts. If they need to make trades, they'll make trades. But they'll be fine. Dak got his money, and that is what's important. And also, he's bet on himself already before, and I feel like he's taking another bet on himself because he's saying, give me these 4 years so I can hit you up again the next. He's going to be 31 when this deal ends, so that's a chance for him to come up and re-up again. I like his chances. I mean, he's in the next 4 years, he's either going to win you a Super Bowl or not. And if he doesn't, Cowboys get out. They can go look for someone else. If he does, guess what? That $40 million is going to turn into what? Maybe 50, 60 next time. And the money will be there. And because he may have won a Super Bowl or not, Jerry will gladly pay it. That's just the way the league goes. I mean, it is what it is, you know? And so, like I said, not really his problem. Also, recently across the wire, Cam Newton re-signed with the Patriots. Said the Panthers. I wish he was in Carolina still. But he signed with the Patriots for another deal, 1-year deal for $14 million. So he definitely came up from last year where he only played last year for $1 million. So $13 million up. Shout out to him. I don't know why he would do that. I doubt they were the only ones that wanted him, but I mean, He's going back to a team that doesn't really have the weapons. They're getting some guys back on the defense, sure, but GM Bill Belichick ain't as good as head coach Bill Belichick, and that is where the problem lies. It's just not, I don't know if it'll work. I don't. I love Cam. I believe in Cam. I want Cam to be great. He had COVID this year. That definitely threw him off a lot, but there's a severe lacking of weapons, and it's really, really going to mess them up. Like, we usually talk Super Bowls for the Patriots, but the way that that division is shaping up, the Bills look Super Bowl ready. And I apologize to Josh Allen and anybody who believes in Josh Allen. I didn't believe in you. You definitely proved me wrong. But that team is Super Bowl ready. Miami, they are coming. The Jets, they got a new head coach who we'll talk about here in a second. They're going to be there soon. I give it 2 years. I don't know if the Patriots are built to ever get back to what they are. They may need a whole reset. I don't know if you let Bill go and let him start over or what, but they got to figure something out. They have to, and it's just not working the way it should anymore. JJ to Arizona, who's seen that coming? JJ Watt asked for his release. They granted his release. Then he goes and signs with Arizona. I don't know why he did that when he had contenders offering him deals and opportunities to come play for him, but he opted to go to Arizona, a team that is a year away from being a year away to me, but he's seen something. He believes in it. He's going there. Shout out to him. Good for him. Give him a chance to keep playing. Line up next to another great defensive player in Chandler Jones. They got two. I think ESPN posted that they both are 1 and 2 for the most sacks since they were drafted, I believe. So I mean, shout out to them for that. But I don't know. And then gonna go up to Pittsburgh now. Ben Roethlisberger takes a pay cut to stay around. I don't know why they did it. They should have just cut him. I think it's time for Pittsburgh to start over. There's too many young quarterbacks and too many guys that you can make a trade for that would put you in a better situation to win. I mean, especially with Pouncey retiring, I just don't see a reason. You're delaying the inevitable. Like, I get it. Nobody wants to start over. Everybody hates to see their legends leave, but it's time. And I don't know what else you can get out of Ben. Like, this Steelers team was probably the best Steelers team we've seen in a while, and they blew it. They blew this season. I don't know what they're expecting. I don't. You got too much stuff to replace, and I get it. A consistency at quarterback would help, but no. I don't know. I just think it was time to start over. Like, you could have made a trade for anybody, and you could still make a trade for anybody, but I just don't think you needed Ben for another year. He's falling apart, and I just don't. I don't get it. I don't see why they would make that move. And so we seen some trades, some really big trades. We seen Stafford and Goff get traded for each other with the Rams and Detroit Lions. Both teams have undergone coaching change. Both guys brought in different people. The Rams did not go through a coaching change. They just lost a defensive coordinator. The Rams had to get rid of Goff. Like, their team so far has been assembled to win now, and that's understandable. But Goff was not going to be the guy to do it. So I see why you'd make the move for somebody established, somebody who is better. Stafford is definitely better than Goff, and Stafford is going to be better than Goff as from the way we've seen him play, at least for the next 2 years. I don't know if Goff is going to be able to bounce back. I don't know if a change in scenery is going to help Goff. It could, it might. I don't know. I'm not willing to bet much on it. I'll say that much. But with the Rams getting Stafford, they're getting probably the least criticized number 1 pick I've ever seen in my life. Like, nobody has been less on the hot seat than Matthew Stafford. But this guy has gotten extension after extension after extension, and nobody has ever called into question his place in the league as being like a good, not great player, like not even really good. He's good. He's been serviceable. He's been like middle of the pack. He's good enough to get you to the playoffs, not really good enough to win you anything. And let's not act like Detroit's has been scrubs the entire time. They've had some seasons where they were able to do something. And there's been a lot of the seasons that they didn't win a lot of games, they weren't getting blown out. They were losing by field goals. And like maybe 1, maybe 2 touchdowns in some cases. But they were never that bad. That offense has always kept him with receivers and has always done their best to try to find ways to protect him. But he threw for Megatron for years. He threw to Kenny Golladay, who is so much better. I'm glad he's out of Detroit. Wherever he goes, he's going to blow up, and he deserves a bigger stage than what he got since he's been here. He's thrown to Marvin Jones. He's had competent players around him. He just hasn't done much with them. And so maybe being in LA will be better for him as far as getting the coaching he deserves, as far as like a true offensive-minded person. Granted, Jim Caldwell is a great offensive mind. Detroit just screwed the pooch on that one. I feel like it'll be a better place for him, better consistency on defense, and definitely, like I said, much better coaching. But Goff gets a chance to start over in a place that's not as not as in the middle of the media all the time. Like, he was in L.A. Like, the cameras are always on in L.A. In Detroit, people forget about Detroit every now and then. These are facts. I'm sorry. But maybe he'll have a chance to turn it around. Maybe he'll chance to be the guy who, for some reason, people thought he could be. Maybe not. I mean, the deal works out for Detroit because they got a new coach. They got a new GM. The GM that they have actually brought him in because he vouched for him. But the way his deal is set up is if he's not good next year and he's not good the year after that, they can cut him. No salary cap issues. So it works out. They're giving him 2 years. He's got 2 years to figure it out. And the head coach, who we'll get to later as well, will be around. He can sit back and build the team up, build the team around him. And if they don't like him, if they don't like Goff, you can get rid of him at a later date. But LA definitely came up. This team is definitely looking to take the division and possibly the conference, maybe a Super Bowl. But the way the rest of the division is looking up, it's the Rams, the Seahawks, the Niners, and the Cardinals. That's a tough division. That's a really tough division. And now you have at least four. You have 4 really solid quarterbacks in that division, 2 really good defenses, or 3 really good defense, 2 really good, 1 okay defense in that division. Is going to shape up to be a good year over there. Maybe 2, maybe 3 can make it into the playoffs, depending on how everything shakes. But you never really know. The Wentz trade. Carson Wentz traded from Philly to Indianapolis. The best option for him was to go there. And I believe he can turn it around. I don't know what his mental state is, but being around Peterson, who was his offensive coordinator during his rookie year, and I want to say the better part of the next year as well, I think he'll be good. He needs this restart. Philly is a tough place to play, and especially when you're the quarterback, you're the guy. You take a beating on and off the field in Philly. And that definitely probably took a toll on him, especially Wentz being a guy who everywhere he's been has always been the guy and always been somebody that people loved and gravitated to. To go there, to come to Philly and play the way he played early on and then get benched for a Super Bowl run where the backup quarterback won the game for him and then come back the next year, play terrible. Then the year after that, this past season, start off terrible, get replaced. And then the head coaching issues, like not being on the same page as the head coach at the time, he was fired later. It's a lot going on in Philly. It's a lot, and he definitely needed to get out of that situation. And Indianapolis is a place where literally this team, I feel like, is a quarterback away. Like, if they can maintain some of the weapons that are there, and bring Ty back. Paris Campbell's great. Naheem, the running back, Naheem, I can't think of his last name to save my life. Naheem Hines, I believe. And bring their defense around more. I think this Indianapolis Colts team is ready to go. They will definitely be in shape to help take over the division and possibly make a Super Bowl run. Maybe. I won't go that far yet, but definitely good chance of taking the division the way everything is shaping up down there in the AFC South. Watson and Russ, two guys not really happy with this situation, and both of them I can understand. The only mistake Watson made was signing that extension. Like, he's seen the money was there. You take the money. That's what all players are shown. But if he was unhappy, he should have never taken that money, because now it takes the leverage out of his hand. The one thing as a quarterback of any NFL team, a franchise quarterback of an NFL team, is you never give up your leverage. And that's what he did. If he was unhappy, if he did not believe in what they were doing, then he shouldn't have signed. Now, I still think he has every right to throw his weight around. He's not happy. You told him he would have input. He had no input. Or you listened to him, and then you didn't even really give that guy a chance. And then you tried to bring that guy around later to appease him, but it was too late. You go and you bring a guy from an organization that gave him the head coach that he didn't really like to begin with, or not necessarily to begin with, but he later grew to not like. And you expect him to be okay with bringing in somebody from that organization who only knows one way. And then there's a whole another issue with the guy at the top and Jack Easterby. Houston is a mess, and he wants to now get as far away from it as possible. And I can't blame him, but the game is the game at this point. And I don't think he has the money to sit out. He's either going to have to play or pay. I mean, that's pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, the penalties are going to hit him, and they're going to hit him hard. So it's kind of out of his hand at this point, especially when he's limiting where he can go with that no trade clause. But and then Russ is doing what I feel like he should have done years ago, which is make it known in Seattle that they have to let him do more. Pete Carroll's mindset with this whole team has always been the same since he got there. And it worked in the beginning because they didn't have the quarterback that could do the things necessary or do the things that other quarterbacks needed to do to win games. It's great defense, run the ball. Cool. It was cool when you had somebody that could run the ball. Y'all have whiffed on every single running back that y'all brought in ever since y'all lost Marshawn the first time. And your defense hasn't been the same since you lost the Legion of Boom. It's time to make the move from Russ being the young game managing quarterback to the guy who legit takes over. And they've done nothing as far as getting him better pass blockers, getting him better receivers to make that better. They really haven't. Like the best receiving threat that they've brought in from free agency, either free agency or during trade. No, they traded for him. Was Jimmy Graham, and they did nothing with him. Why? Because their offense wasn't designed to use the tight end like an actual weapon. It's always ground and pound. And like, look at the offensive coordinators that they brought in. Darrell Bevan. I apologize. Run heavy guy. Schottenheimer, run heavy guy. Russ needs to be in an offensive system that lets him sling the rock everywhere and not depend as heavy on rushing the ball. Like, granted, the biggest blunder of his career is that interception on the one. That was more of a play calling issue. Either that, like, you could pass on the one, you just shouldn't do a slant in an obvious situation where your only option that this receiver can really do is a slant. You have a 5'11" dude throwing to another 5'11" dude, and you're going to run a slant on the goal line. That was just dumb. But they got some better guys. DK Metcalf is going to be an animal as he continues to develop. And you got to do a better job of protecting him. You got to do a better job of allowing him to take over the game more and allow him to be the quarterback that everybody knows he can be. And if you're not, then just trade him and start over. Like, I mean, the way Seattle's looking to me half the time is I could see them trading him and starting over. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities to me. But if you're not going to build around him, move him. His contract is very, very, very tradable. And it's not like he makes that much money anyways. So move him, start over, and build your team the way you've always built it, through the defense. But that's just my opinion on that. Coaching hires. Sorry about that delay. Teams, we've seen, 7 jobs come open. And the candidates for these positions have been like kind of all over the place. My only knock is Kansas City's offensive coordinator took interviews. I'm not as sure what happened with the offers, but for some reason he's still just an offensive coordinator. I can't for the life of me think of his name right now. It's going to come to me at some point. Watch, it definitely will. It always does. But I don't get it. And I try not to, if I can avoid it, I try not to bring race into anything. But there's always goalposts moving. People work themselves into certain positions. The positions that people say we need to hit. And when I say we, I mean black people. Positions that we need to work our way into and to get to another level. And then they move the goalposts, or they make exceptions, or they hire this guy's son, or they hire this kid. And I mean, some of these people, I can understand why you would go that direction and why you would look at them, but I wish you would just acknowledge it. The goalposts are being moved. People keep saying with the Rooney Rule, why can't they just hire people that they feel are qualified? Well, the thing is, when you're picking people that you feel are qualified, those people tend to those people tend to look like you. One of the things David Tepper said when he hired Matt Rule was that he dressed like shit. And I dress like shit. That was why you wanted to hire him? Never mind the fact that he was the head coach at Baylor and turned that program around single-handedly? No? Okay, cool. But that's all I'm saying. It's just goalposts moving. If you're gonna do it, own it. That's all I'm saying. Like, there are plenty of people that work their way into positions and they don't get fair shakes at this stuff. Raheem Moore deserves to be a head coach again. He was a head coach of the Tampa Bay Bucks, I want to say almost 10 years ago. He's worked in this league as a competent defensive coordinator, was a wide receiver coach for Atlanta for a little bit. He's taken the time to rebuild his reputation up as a coach. There was nothing wrong with him. He was just really young on his first job, and it was with Tampa freaking Bay. And he's never gotten a call since. That's all I'm saying, man. It's people have worked them, like I said, they work themselves into position to be certain guys, and they don't get the chance to. And if you want to be, if you want to complain about it, I mean, the Rooney Rule, guys that have been hired because of the Rooney Rule tend to have better winning percentage than the other guys. But I mean, that's for a whole multitude of different reasons. I just thought it was interesting when I looked it up. But some of the guys that were hired was Urban Meyers for the Jags. Urban Meyers legit walked into the best situation for anybody. The Jags came in with the most cap space this offseason and 11 picks in the first 3 rounds, I believe, of this year's draft. That is amazing, including the number 1 pick. This team is not that bad. It's really not. They just haven't had stuff break the way that they probably needed it to this year. And Gardner Minshew is not that bad of a quarterback. I personally would move that one for more capital and just keep building the team up because I like his potential. And if I was any other team in the league, I would be trying to trade for Minshew. He's a very good guy on a very good contract with a lot of room to freaking grow. If they're going to go Lawrence, which I believe they will, definitely move Gardner for some capital because somebody will take him. somebody will believe in him. He'll light it up somewhere. I believe it. Just gotta give him a better coaching staff, better supporting staff. The wide receivers in Jacksonville are a solid group. They're gonna grow. It's a really young team over there, but I digress. Urban has been an amazing head college coach. Everywhere he goes, he wins. Has one of the better winning percentages of all time, as well as a head coach. And I definitely like the moves that he's made as far as like building the staff out, with the exception of the strength coach. That's for a whole different reason. The GM hire that they made, they brought in Trent Baalke. He's had a success building teams. He was with the 49ers with John Harbaugh when they had a great team. And he's a big part in help building that team up. So it's a lot of potential going on in Jacksonville. I can't wait to see what other moves that they make this year. Another hire, Dan Campbell. Definitely a head scratcher for me because Dan Campbell has always been an assistant head coach and also the tight ends coach of every team that he's been to. But what makes this more unique for him is Dan Campbell, former NFL player, played a majority of his career in Detroit. So it's kind of like a homecoming for him of sorts, but like also the hires that he made. This guy pretty much brought in a majority black staff. And, I mean, I tip the hat to him. I don't really know what the move behind it was. I guess from what I said earlier, just putting black people in positions to be able to do stuff. But it definitely kind of took made him seem less weird after he was talking about biting kneecaps off in his introduction press conference. But I mean, it's definitely something to pay attention to going forward. See what happens with that. Another one, Nick Sirianni for the Eagles. This is a very questionable hire because Nick Sirianni never came up for any head coaching positions. He didn't even think he was going to get an interview for it. Dude had to go stop and buy a suit, or started to buy a suit to go to the interview for this team. And I mean, that kind of just lets you know everything you need to know now. I mean, it wasn't like Indianapolis had a ridiculously great offense this year or anything. It just was a team that, I mean, it was a position not a lot of people really knew what to do with because the whole Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurd issues and people just trying to figure out what they're doing with that. And it also starting to look like that the front office doesn't want a head coach who wants to figure this out on his own. They want a head coach that will what do I want to say here? They want a head coach that will do what they say. We'll give you players, you win. We don't care what system you run. We don't care what kind of players you need. We'll bring you the best players that we evaluate. You make it work. And that's what it kind of feels like. I mean, when I first seen his introduction, what was it? When I seen his introduction press conference, I was kind of skeptical. A lot of people were, but I'm going to shoot him some bell just because he was nervous. Like, dude did not expect to be in this position, and he wound up in this position. So I can understand it. It is what it is. He was nervous. Just got up there stuttering, stammering. Check my first video out if you don't think I can relate. But I don't know. It's just a wait and see. I feel for Jalen. Like, Jalen, if you ever see this, don't sign an extension, man. Just wait, bet on yourself, take the tag, wait. Keep your leverage. And that's for any player. Keep your leverage if you have any. Another hire, Arthur Smith for the Atlanta Falcons. I am betting on him to have the most success, at least early on, because he's walking into an Atlanta Falcon team that's not ready to blow it up yet. And he seems to be an offensive coordinator that knows how to make the most of make a team more the sum of its parts than just needing any one player to really take over. And like I said, that team's not ready to blow it up. They still got Matt Ryan, who can be an MVP if you put him in the right situations. And you still got Julio Jones. Got to solidify the run game a little more, shore up that offensive line some. But you got Matt Ryan, you got Julio. Arthur Smith can definitely help put this team in a position. And also, he's just personal thing with Arthur Smith, but maybe I'll discuss that for another day. If you got questions, reach out. I'll let you know. But I got to see what he does. I think if they fix the defense, definitely more success early on. Definitely more success. Robert Silla with the New York Jets. I'm really excited about this one. I love everything about Robert Silla. I love everything that he did with the 49ers. I love the things that he did in Jacksonville. As I think he was a position coach in Jacksonville whenever they were good. They did the Saxonville thing. He was the coach on that team, so I'm excited for what he does, the energy that he's going to bring. The Jets situation as a whole is an interesting one because they have a ton of cap space. They have really good draft picks. They got 2 in the first round, 2 in the top 5, I believe. And definitely some exciting things to see what they do with that number 2 pick and what they do with the Sam Darnold situation and things like that. Let's see, Brandon Staley for the LA Chargers. The quarterback turned defensive coordinator. Guy had a ton of success coaching the LA Rams defense this year, but there was not. But I mean, he coached Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. It wasn't that hard of a job. I mean, the team fell off defensively the year before he took over, but that's just me. But a lot of people are just raving about this guy, how he's just a young innovator, very smart guy, very charismatic guy. And I see it when I watch the press conference. He definitely knows how to work a room. He definitely speaks with confidence. And players speak extremely highly of him. The staff that he has down there looks pretty solid. So Justin Herbert, got a guy that he can talk to, got a guy that they can both grow with. I feel pretty good about this Chargers team. And the defense is the division's going to be tough, but they can definitely put it together pretty quick. I can see something happening over there. And last but not least, David Culley of the Houston Texans. The 30-year assistant coach finally catches his big payday. Yes, that's all this is for him, is a really big payday, because Houston is just, the Texans are a trash organization right now. Like, it is a dumpster fire of just sadness, depression. Like, I don't know how anybody as a fan of this team can look at it and confidently say that they're hopeful for the future. Like, right now, your best bet is to strip it all down, get what you can for the players that you have, and start the long rebuild. Find a coach that you can sit behind and that can develop and help put people in positions. Like, I don't know. I want to believe in them. I want to give them a chance, but I don't know if there's anything they can really do. Like, they don't even really got cap space to work with. They don't got draft picks because of Bill O'Brien. It's just not a good situation, and it really wasn't really that environment isn't really conducive to winning right now, especially when your guy wants to go. Like, the guy who was the face of the franchise for the past 10 plus years asked to be released in J.J. Watt and went to Arizona. Like, he didn't even go to an instant contender. He went to a team that might be a contender, or a team that's a year away from being a contender. Like, how bad is your situation when that happens? I don't know. But I mean, it's, wait and see. Just wait and see. And also, now we're coming up close on my absolute favorite time of the offseason is the draft season. It's a great process, a fun process, going back, watching tape, predicting, guessing, just breaking down traits, and trying to figure out what player is going to be able to translate from the college game to the pros. Because we all know there's a ton and tons of great college players that get to the pros and then they become middle of the road or just complete garbage. And no position is more exciting with the draft than the quarterbacks, because there's always the guys that nobody sees coming, and then there's the guy that people swear up and down can't misses, and they just flop really bad. And you know how it is. The best with the draft, the more capital you have, the more picks you have, the better chances you have of either trading for players that you want, trading up to spots that you want to get to, or just staying pat, picking where you are, and hopefully finding a gem. Everybody looks for that guy in the third, the fourth, the fifth round that's going to change the game, be a superstar, potentially Hall of Famer. Everybody's looking for those guys, and that's the excitement to me that comes with the draft. And just watching where players land, like you can be a quarterback and be drafted first and land in a terrible situation and take some time to grow, or you can be drafted late in the first and land on a team that's literally one player away, and you can be that player. It's a crazy thing to see, an absolute crazy thing to see. And this year, like I said, the position that's the most exciting is the quarterbacks. And the five I want to talk about right now, you got Trevor Lawrence. He's the guy that can't miss. A lot of guys have given him draft grades that are comparable to Andrew Luck and John Elway, and just all-time great comparisons. And with Trevor Lawrence, I can see it. Like, strong arm, very mobile, very agile, has the look, has the leadership abilities, and he's just an all-around really great player. He's killed in the ACC since he's gotten there. Now, granted, they're not like world beaters out there, but he's been a man among boys. Like, granted, he hasn't shown up in the playoffs as much as he should. I mean, as much as he did early. But I think that was just a combination of also Clemson not being as talented as they were, as far as having the quality of players that they needed to be able to compete with the Alabama and the Ohio State and things like that. The number 2 guy on my list is Zach Wilson out of BYU. Definitely came up out of nowhere, but if you check his stats from last year to the year before, 2 years ago to last season, clear jump. Granted, this is like the COVID season for college football, so those numbers, that definitely could have taken a toll on it, but he looks pro ready. The reads he makes, the way the ball just jumps out of his hands, the windows that he fits it into. I mean, he has an Aaron Rodgers to him, and I'm excited to see what he does. Like, the kid is 6'3", 210. He could probably bulk up a little bit, but he's very exciting to watch. And honestly, BYU quarterbacks with a headband, you got to watch him. Like, he's got a lot of potential to do something really great. And number 2 to the Jets is where I'd like to see him go. Like, he could definitely do some things over there. Number 3, Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields. He has the traits. He has the skill. He has the raw athleticism. My question is whether he can actually run an offense, because I don't know if anybody ever really noticed the big reason why Ohio State got shut down in the national championship is because they don't run a real offense. They line up, and based on how the field is set, the receivers are given option routes. So when they take off, when they line up, they know where they're going, but it's always subject to change depending on how the defense moves around them. You know what I mean? And if you look at the tape, you see him and he's holding and he's waiting and he's waiting. If it's not a quick route, he's going to hold on to it. And he has to hold on to it until one of those receivers break. And that's the reason why it takes so long for him to go to one receiver to the next, because they're running option routes. And that definitely did him no favors. Because, I mean, they have great receivers at Ohio State, but if your offensive line doesn't hold up long enough, or if they don't make the right break at the right time, then it leads to some really bad throws and some really missed opportunities. But going back and watching the tape, and also I study tape with at the quarterback school by JT O'Sullivan on YouTube. Definitely check that out if you're interested in that kind of thing. JT O'Sullivan is dropping dimes over there. Great guy, great videos. Check him out. But the form is there. Doesn't click his heels. Makes the right read. Big body kid. Can move. All that good stuff. Justin Field has the potential. Just got to see what he does in an actual structured offense that requires him to make reads, make better reads, I should say. My number 4 guy is Mac Jones. I was telling some guys the other day when they asked about him, actually a while back. Mac Jones is not a guy that's going to lose you games. He's not going to lose you games. He's not going to throw you out of a game. He can help you stay in it if given the right guys around him. And I mean, at Alabama, he's throwing to first rounders at receiver. These dudes are like booty butt naked open, and it's easy to knock him for that. But the thing is, you like with anybody else, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, any of them, they can't control who's they're playing. They can't control who they play with. All they can do is see the read, make the read, get the ball out. And that's all they can do. And he did a great job of that, if that's what you have him do in your offense. If you tell him see it, throw it, he can see it, he can throw it, and he'll get it there on time. The kid can lead, the kid can ball. Arm strength isn't all the way there, but he can make almost all the throws, and that's better than none. And my last guy in the top 5 here is Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. Championship guy, all the talent and ability, lower levels competition, so it's kind of meh, but definitely a lot to grow into. And then top 3 receivers in the draft, you got Jamar Chase, you got Jalen Waddle, you got Devontae Smith. Great guys. You can't really go wrong with either one of them, but at the same time, you never know who's going to shake out. They're all talented, they're all skilled, they're all ridiculous guys. But will it translate? You never know. But that's going to be it for today. Please subscribe. Please check us out next time. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience.